Welcome to Sitcom Showdown, a podcast that reviews classic sitcom episodes and inducts them into our very own Hall of Fame. As usual, one of us has chosen a sitcom episode and the other guy has no idea what it's going to be. Will they already know it? Will they love it? Can they be convinced that it's worthy? Let's find out on the Sitcom Showdown. Hello and welcome back to Sitcom Showdown for episode 58. My name's Jeff. And you've caught us in the middle of a normal month.
Yes.
No, it's not Actor Month, which was last month, which was August 2019. And next month, of course, will be October, which means it's Halloween month 2019.
Yes.
Anyhow, normality, and it's your turn, Steve.
Yes. Well, normality, but I have picked a ripper of an episode.
Oh, excellent.
For us to talk about.
We expect no less. And hello and welcome.
Yes.
Hey.
It's nice to be here. Hello, listeners. Now, before we get to the episode, though,
Yeah.
I'm going to make you wait. We've got a couple of bits of feedback from people off of YouTube.
Oh.
The first one is from Melexa, and Melexa left a comment on Penguins of Madagascar.
Wow, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Hello Dollface episode. So they've tagged, like, the timestamp thing for 11 minutes, 30 seconds into the episode.
You can do that. Okay, right.
Yes, and they've said, it says, and a remarkable scene from The Godfather come back in the form of a not dark cartoon. That cartoon's humorousness so good.
Ooh.
And I know exactly what they're talking about because I went to 11 minutes and 30 seconds, and it's the scene where Kowalski is taking to Miss Perky with a buzzsaw.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember that?
I haven't watched The Godfathers in totality. I've watched snippets of each.
No, I don't remember the scene from The Godfather that he's referencing, or she's referencing, but no, I know the bit in the Penguins of Madagascar episode.
Oh, that's what you meant. All right.
Yeah. So, very good.
Oh.
Yes, I was very excited to get that comment.
Oh, cool.
Fantastic. And then Alan left a comment on Corner Gas episode, Telescope Trouble.
Right.
And this is classic. Just to let you know, bum is usually the word used in polite conversation or for kids in Canada, but is used less often, more often in a joking way.
Uh-huh.
Because I think we were wondering whether bum is like a Commonwealth term.
Yes.
That spread to Australia and Canada.
And New Zealand.
And presumably other places.
Yeah.
But not the US, so yes.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Right. So you can use butt in Canada, but you got to be careful where and when you deploy the butt.
Yes, and being Brent Butt is he's distancing himself from
he wants to avoid
that
confusion.
use of the term.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I was pretty excited to get comments on those two episodes.
Yes, I
and
like
to get an answer to one of these questions we keep throwing out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was tip tops.
Now, while you're finding your way there and about to tell us which episode it is, I might just, because that's been a handy reminder to people about the YouTube channel. So another thing I'd like to remind the listener about is that if you go to our Facebook page, of course, pinned at the top, we have the Google Doc, which shows you, if you've ever listened and you've thought, I wonder which ones made it into the Hall of Fame and which ones didn't, or any other bits of information. You can find all that info at the Facebook page, at the Google Doc at the top.
Yep.
Is that accurate?
That is. Well, it's accurate information, but it's not quite up to date.
It's okay, right.
Following this,
Ooh,
by the time this goes out, it'll be up to date. How about that?
Cool. You've set yourself a challenge.
Yes.
Now, aside from which ones made it into the Hall and which ones didn't, I seem to remember there's other things on there like things we've got to check out. Is that
there
right?
is a tab for that, yeah.
Okay, cool.
The ones that we hear about and go, okay.
Put that on the list.
Look that up.
Okay, cool. And have we got a tab for our little challenges like who's the best drunk actor in the world?
No.
No? Okay. No
Stop
worries.
giving me work.
Righto. We'll return to that one at another time then, but I think the current leader is Bernard Black from Black Books.
Correct.
And I've got some, speaking of Corner Gas, Wanda, the episode where she gets hammered, where she's calling the softball game. That's top shelf.
That's up there, is it?
And of course, pretty much most episodes with Al Bundy when he's getting hammered.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway,
can I start now?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I've chosen a sitcom called One Foot in the Grave and an episode called The Valley of Fear.
Right.
Which is from Series 1. It's episode number 3.
Oh, it's about time we've gotten around to One Foot in the Grave.
Yes, it was only a matter of time.
Well, can I ask you this? Last week's episode, we looked at actor Julia Sawala. And I mentioned Jonathan Creek, and that he'd written, this is David Renwick, had written so well in that drama that it won a comedy award when Julia was in it.
Yes.
And we know he's a great sitcom writer. Had you already picked One Foot in the Grave when we recorded that episode?
It was on my shortlist.
Oh, cool.
Yes, I was getting around to it sooner or later.
Oh, well, look, this is going to be tops. Please continue.
All right, well, let me tell you about One Foot in the Grave. The series features the exploits of Victor Meldrew, played by Richard Wilson, and his long-suffering wife Margaret, played by Annette Crosby. Set in a typical suburb in southern England, Victor takes involuntary early retirement. His various efforts to keep himself busy while encountering various misfortunes and misunderstandings are the themes of the sitcom. Despite its traditional production, the series subverts its domestic sitcom setting with elements of black humour and surrealism.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I think I whipped most of that out of Wikipedia.
Yep.
Now, seeing as you keep asking me, I have taken the time to mention or write down that this is BBC One.
Okay.
Yes, I'm now getting my ones and twos and whatnots added on there. So it's from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
There were 6 seasons and 2 specials. Now, we've already mentioned that Richard Wilson plays Victor. We've seen him before.
Yes.
In Sitcom Showdown. We talked about...
Sir.
Yeah. Go on.
Jeffrey puts his hands up so he can be a nerdy SWAT. Now, this is...
It's Only When I Laugh.
It's Only When I Laugh.
He played Dr. Thorpe.
Yeah.
And we talked about that in episode 29 of Sitcom Showdown.
Go and listen to that one immediately.
Yes. It's a very good sitcom episode. Now, he was also the dentist in Mr. Bean. He made a guest appearance in Father Ted as himself.
Right. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
How they engineered that.
I don't believe it.
And he later played the role of Gaius, the court physician of Camelot, in the BBC drama Merlin.
Okay, right.
So they're some of his more notable roles. I think this would be the one that he's best known for, wouldn't you say?
Easy.
Now, Annette Crosby, who plays Victor's wife, Margaret, she's got some drama chops, Jeff.
Oh.
In 1971, she won a BAFTA for Best Actress for her appearance as Catherine of Aragon in The Six Wives of Henry VIII.
Huh, okay.
And then, sticking with the period drama, in 1976 she won a BAFTA for Best Actress again. This was for her role as Queen Victoria in an ITV period drama, Edward VII.
The thoughts that are running through my mind as you tell me that, Annette Crosby's been ripped off.
Really? Why?
Because your Helen Mirrens of the world and your Dame, the other lady, Dame Judy, thank you, have gone on to the denture. She's
the denture.
They've gone on to fill their cupboards with Emmys and all sorts of other trophyware.
And flipping great wadges of cash. And billions of Twitter followers, presumably. And here's Annette Crosby slaving away. Actually, I just got inside info on the Toby Foster podcast because Tobes has been bigging it up that he had to go and do a small role in Ricky Gervais's latest effort. Right.
And he said he was working with Annette Crosby.
Wow.
So she's back in the sitcom game, dude, working for Ricky Gervais. But yes, I think she should be getting a bit more movie work.
Right.
Yes.
If there's any producers listening to this podcast.
Yeah. And you don't want to pay Judy massive amounts.
No. Save some money.
Get Annette Crosby for 10%.
Get someone quality.
Yeah.
Of at least the same quality.
Darn right.
Now, there are other regulars in this one, but the only one we see in this episode is Mrs. Warboysey.
Yeah, Mrs. Warboys.
Yeah, Warboys. Warboys? Warboysey.
Well, in the show, they always say Mrs. Warboys.
Played by Doreen Mantle. And also in this episode, as a guest appearance, Christopher Ryan.
Oh, man, okay. Yes.
Known to us as Mike from The Young Ones.
Yeah. And he also played Dave Hedgehog in Bottom, of course.
Yeah. Yes.
He's lesser known for that, sure, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And he's been a monster in Doctor Who, but who hasn't?
Well, Sontaran, right?
Yeah, and before that, he... do you remember Syl from the Colin Baker era?
Yes.
He played like the king of Syl's people.
Yes, and spent hours in makeup.
Oh, poor chappie, yeah.
Oh, very good. Well, we'll go and watch this, and then we'll come back and tell you all about it.
They say I might as well face the truth, but I am just too long in the attitude. So I'm an OAP and weak need, but I'm not yet quite gone to see.
Margaret,
What's the matter?
did you put a cat in our freezer?
Are you sure it's dead?
Well, I should think it's a pretty safe bed, wouldn't you? I mean, it's a bit parky in there at the best of times. How's it supposed to have kept warm? Rub two fish fingers together to start a fire?
How long do you think it had been in there?
I don't know. I'll look for its sell-by date.
I may be over the hill now that I have retired, fading away, but I'm not yet expired. Clapped out, run down, too old to save, 1 foot in the grave.
And we're back. Well, I'll take a deep breath because this is quite a lot to get through.
Yes.
Shall we start? Well, Victor arrives home with his head bandaged, and he says, "That's the last time I go out photographing badgers." His wife follows him in, Margaret, and she goes off through to the kitchen, and he's ignoring the things that she's saying because he's complaining to her about the attitude of the hospital staff. As a consequence of his frequent visits to the hospital, they're starting to get a bit uppity with him by the sound of it. Anyway, she puts the kettle on to make some cocoa, and she notes that there's still this strange smell in the house, which is worse by the sideboard. Her mum rings to find out what's been going on. Kind of an interesting thing, this phone that they've got. It's got a handpiece and a cord attached to this other thing.
What? Like the old-timey...
Yeah, it's an old-time phone. One you used to have to put your finger into.
Oh, yes, a rotary dial phone.
Yes, rotary dial phone.
Oh.
Yes, that's pretty classic. Anyway, phones figure quite prominently in this episode. So Margaret updates Mum on the situation, which is that Victor went up Bluebell Hill with his new camera to take a photo of the sunset and was mugged by soccer hooligans.
Right.
Oh no!
Oh.
He's kind of listening to all this go on, and he tells Margaret to tell her mum that he was sexually molested. What a thing to say to your mother-in-law.
Was he saying that because it was true, or was he saying that just to shock the mother-in-law? He just goes, right, I'm having a bad day. I want to make sure mother-in-law has a bad day. I want to give her some bad news.
Well, my theory is he gets sick of these conversations going on where Margaret's relating his misadventures to other people.
Okay.
And so he spices it up for a bit of fun. She thinks that he's joking, though. They stole everything he had, including his tweed jacket, which is important to note. By the way, Margaret doesn't think much of this tweed jacket.
No.
She says maybe they stole it to line their dog basket or something.
So she won't mourn the loss of that jacket.
Yeah. Down the hospital, they gave him a sedative, and Margaret's clearly hoping that between the sedative kicking in and the cocoa that she's making for him, he's going to...
Nod off.
Yeah, nod
and
off.
Therefore, shut up.
Stop stressing out.
Yeah.
And shut up. Anyway, she's a bit upset when he puts the TV on because he wants to watch Prisoner Cell Block H. Now, a slight digression.
Yeah?
Do you know what Prisoner Cell Block H was?
Nope.
Prisoner, also known as Prisoner Cell Block H in the United Kingdom, is an Australian soap opera set in a fictional women's prison called Wentworth Detention Centre.
Ah, now is this our Prisoner?
Yes. It's the Aussie Prisoner show.
10 years later or 15 years later was on repeat in Britain then?
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly.
Right.
So now you can see it's not exactly light viewing.
No.
It's not the kind of thing you want to watch if you're trying to nod off.
Well, I think for Victor's life, which is awful, if his escapism is to watch people whose lives are even more awful than his.
Yeah,
maybe.
You're right. Compared to his normal life, maybe this is less stressful. Anyway, Margaret's complaining about this, and he says, sedatives don't work on me anyway, this is all stupid. And they cut away to her, and then come back, and when they do, he's fallen asleep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I'm calling shenanigans on this.
Right.
As I mentioned to you while we were watching it, is that he's still holding his cup of tea perfectly upright.
Yep.
Now, whenever I've nodded off, I've dropped the remote in my lap or...
Yes. But it was only 5 seconds ago that he fell asleep.
Yeah, but the first thing to go is the hands.
Yeah.
That's not up to snuff.
Yep.
In real life terms.
Yes, all right. Well, it's the next day now, and Victor is up a ladder outside cleaning graffiti off the wall of the house. And the graffiti says something along the lines of, "The man who lives here is a turd." So Margaret and Mrs. Warboys are looking on while Victor's up the ladder. And by the way, this is in the days when your neighbour would pop around to your house unannounced.
Yep.
In addition to strange phones. So they're out while Margaret's hanging the washing, and they're discussing the hole in Victor's underpants, which apparently is a frequent occurrence. They just talk about him all the time like he's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Later, they're doing the dishes and having a kids these days rant. And he says something along the lines of, "If they're not cracking your skull open with a tyre lever or vandalising your back wall, they're shoving bottles of urine through your letterbox."
Yeah.
And Margaret says, "What? That was a free sample of Lucasade."
Yep.
You can see his imagination's just running away with him, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll come back to that one.
Yes. He does complain about Margaret leaving the kitchen doors, like cupboard doors, open.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, another thing to note.
She's always leaving bloody doors open.
I should say that Mrs. Warboys she's here during this whole
exchange
while he's going off at her about leaving the doors open. And she can smell this thing that's worse by the sideboard.
Yep.
And Victor's really had enough at this point. He says, "Don't stand by the bloody sideboard, go home."
Yeah.
He's had enough.
Then she'd be used to that, I imagine.
Probably. He probably gets to that point every time she comes over.
He's a grumpy old sod.
Yeah. Oh, who can blame him? And then the central heating pipes start up, clanging like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. But that's fine because he's on the way out to report the incident the night before to the police.
Where he got attacked by the gang of youths?
Yes.
Okay,
the gang of youths.
right.
Soccer hooligans.
It
changes.
Oh, does it? Okay.
It does change a bit. And he shoos a cat out of their doorway on his way out. Mm-hmm. That night, the TV's on, but Victor and Margaret are discussing how ineffectual the police are. And he comes up with the idea, while he's walking to the kitchen, of taking matters into his own hands and starting a neighbourhood watch. Sounds like a good plan.
Yes.
Yes. He comes back from the kitchen slightly shocked and asks Margaret, "Did you put a cat in our freezer?"
Oh my goodness.
"I warned you about leaving doors open." So then we go into the kitchen and he pulls this very realistic looking cat out of the freezer, like curled up inside a tray or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
From inside of the freezer.
Yeah.
By the way, this was a fairly controversial scene when it was first aired.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So cat out of the freezer, cue at least 90 seconds of awesome dialogue.
Yes. Oh well, we are going to come back to that in due course. The next scene is Margaret getting ready to leave home. Not leave home permanently, just to go out.
Okay.
And as she's on her way out the door, Mrs. Beckett from the Institute arrives to pick up some jumble.
Yeah.
Now I don't think we find out which institute she's from.
Oh, well, it could be the Women's Institute, the WI.
They have one of those?
Yeah. Well, the WI was pretty popular.
Okay.
Let's assume it's the WI.
We can go with that.
Yeah.
So she arrives to pick up this jumble, which is upstairs in the loft. And Margaret says, "Look, don't stress about coming back. You can just go, you know where it is."
Yeah, you pop.
You go up, and Victor's going to due back any moment because he's just gone to fill his prescription down at the chemist.
Okay.
So it won't be a drama. And Mrs. Beckett says, "Are you sure you can trust me?"
Yeah.
Leaving her in their house while they're both out. And she says, things aren't the way they used to be these days. We've had trouble at the Institute even. We've had to freeze the kitty.
Yeah. I.e. people were pinching money and they've had to put stoppers on the cash.
Yeah, the petty cash.
Kitty. And poor old Margaret just looks.
She does this huge double take.
Yeah.
And rushes out.
Yes.
At the mention of this.
The poor woman, she's probably feeling a bit green around the gills as the memory of the frozen cat came back to her. And
yes, it's haunting her.
Dear, oh dear.
Mrs. Burkett heads upstairs and she cuts through the lounge room and she pauses by the sideboard to go, "She's right. It is worse by the sideboard."
Oh.
Victor arrives home. So she's kind of moved out of that room and Victor
gone
moves
up the stairs, up to the loft.
Yeah. Victor comes in and he plonks himself down at the kitchen table and he's looking through his prescriptions. This is
Like gag
Who does
one.
this, right?
Yeah, well,
He's basically reading all the side effects of
yeah.
this massive pile of medicine he's brought home.
Yep. This is, again, the list of side effects is brilliant.
Yes.
But, gag one is he empties out several jars and a few boxes. So the poor dude, he's got all these millions of prescriptions. Some of them must be for his head injury, but yeah, others would just be for just to keep him ticking.
Yep. Anyway, there's a knock at the door, and the plumbers have arrived. They're here to look at the pipes.
The pipes that keep rattling.
Yep, that's it. Christopher Ryan, I said he's dressed like Steve Irwin.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally thought he was Aussie when he walked in.
He's even got a bit of a mullet going on.
Oh, he has.
Of course, the pipes stop clanging as soon as the plumbers walk in.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that just the way?
Yep, Murphy's Law.
But they head upstairs to take a look. And, of course, they get up there and find that, presumably, Margaret has left the hatch to the loft open.
Because she's always leaving doors open, yeah.
Yes, because that's in the vicinity of the pump they've gone to inspect upstairs.
So they have to move it.
Victor curses her and shoves the ladder back up and shuts the door.
Yeah.
And the plumbers can then make their way in to undertake their inspection or whatever they're doing. The plumber decides that a new thermostat is required, which is going to take 3 days to arrive. So that's not brilliant. They pack up, and as they're leaving, Mrs. Burkett starts banging on the pipes, which they, of course, mistake for the clanging caused by the thermostat.
Yeah.
And Victor keeps yelling out, "Shut the hell up!"
Yeah, and I guess they've established that it's very difficult from downstairs to hear someone who's up in the loft shouting.
Yes.
Because she does call down, but no one responds.
Well, the young plumber, he's the last one out of the room, and he's just throwing the last tools into the bag, and he can hear her calling out from the loft, which he's a bit
dubious about. He's sort of thinking,
he's like, I think I'm just going to get out of here.
Yeah.
So he dashes off. Doesn't really know what to make of that. Yes, Victor leaves at this point to get away from the clanging, leaves the house, and returns later. And Margaret rings to say that she's at the Burkett's house, and Mrs. Burkett hasn't arrived home yet. Apparently her husband is in a bit of a state, so she's going to stay there until Mrs. Burkett arrives home. But the next morning, still no Mrs. Burkett.
Oh.
So Victor's in the kitchen having his breakfast. Margaret returns home. You notice, Jeff, that the clanging of the pipes had slowed down
considerably
at this point, overnight.
Yeah.
I wonder why. And Victor takes this pair of earplugs out, which he had bought the previous day when Margaret arrives. So it's obvious that he's heard no pipes clanging or whatnot the previous night. Anyway, Margaret, as they're kind of talking through the situation, and she's hearing the banging because she's not got any earplugs in, she figures out what's happened. She's put two and two together, and she just goes, "Oh, Victor, what have you done?" She rushes upstairs, opens the loft, and there's the poor old lady that Victor's locked in there overnight.
Oh dear,
it's just terrible.
I'm so glad they rescued her though, because I thought it was going to get a bit darker than that.
Why do you think she was going to pass away?
They'd find a mummified.
It could happen in this show. It could happen.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Yes. After you.
Later that day, Margaret's not talking to Victor anymore.
And
he's grumbling about this. He's saying, "What am I supposed to do? Carry out a daily inspection of the premises
for batty old women and mummified tomcats
who've become ensnared in our house?"
Yeah.
Yes, something like that. And that night at their house, they're hosting the inaugural meeting of the Neighbourhood Watch. Yay! Everyone's pumped for this. All the elderly folk of the neighbourhood.
Yep.
So Victor is trying to get this meeting going, a bit unsuccessfully. The seniors are distracted by the smell near the sideboard.
Yeah.
As you would be. But they get onto the subject of the neighbourhood going to pot and the problem of the young people. And one guy tells the story of how he and his wife found a dead cat
at the tip,
which had been stuffed inside a plastic bag and suffocated.
Yeah, they're going, these young people killing cats and stuff.
Everyone's going, "Oh, that's terrible. It's terrible." Except Victor and Margaret, who are
the look on Margaret's face.
Yes.
Oh, she's mortified.
Yes. So everything, that's a bit awkward. And then Victor says, like, one of his initiatives with the Neighbourhood Watch is that they should all take precautions and carry a deterrent if possible. So he whips out this starting pistol that he's got. That's the thing he's going to be taking around with him. And I don't know, it doesn't go too well. And he ends up losing it with him. And after a withering stare from Margaret, basically gives up the idea of the meeting. And
they all put on the telly.
Yeah, they put on the telly and presumably put on the kettle as well. The next day, Victor's wandering through the town and he's at a market. More specifically, a clothes stall. Because obviously he's...
Yeah, jacketless.
He's jacketless. He's got to find something to replace it with, right? Anyway, so he's trying a few things on and he's having a bit of banter, which is quickly going south, going pear-shaped with the
sales dude.
The Cockney geezer who's selling the wares. Yes, he spots a jacket that looks just like the one of his that was taken when he got mugged. And thinking it's his, he grabs it. And as he grabs it, he reveals this pistol inside of his bag.
Yeah.
And says to the guy, because the stall owner has gone to
grab
stop him.
Yeah.
He says, take your hands off me if you value your life.
Yeah.
And at this point, takes off, leaving the stall owner in his dust.
Yeah, exactly. And
what did you make of that?
Well, I was utterly convinced that the stall owner was dodgy and he had somehow got hold of
You were?
Mr. Meldrew's jacket.
Oh, he looked a bit dodgy,
I thought it was quite justified. Well, you can tell by the brilliant earlier scene of the sales interaction between them.
He's working it. He's trying to make a sale.
He's working it. He is trying to make a sale, but he also shows he's got no integrity whatsoever by just telling Mr. Meldrew whatever is necessary, contradicting himself several times in the process in order to make a sale. Which, I know that's what
He's basically telling Victor anything to try and make the sale.
Yeah,
which doesn't go down well. Of course, Victor starts sticking it to him, and he takes it in good humour. Anyway,
it's another great saying.
So Victor's taken off, and on the way home, he meets Mrs. Warboys, who took his advice, and she got hold of a hand grenade.
That the dog dug out of the garden.
Yeah.
He's
exclaiming about this. Maybe she's gone a bit too far. She says, it's only a deterrent, and she pulls the pin out.
Yeah.
And he, not realising it's been disarmed, he runs off with this thing.
Yep.
Throws it away from them over the fence.
Yep.
And drops to the ground, waiting for this explosion that's no doubt about to go off. But it doesn't go off.
No.
Of course. So he's on the ground, and this couple of young blokes look over and they think that he's having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So they run over to help. Next, what happens, Jeff?
Well, obviously still traumatised from his earlier incident being attacked by the gang of youth / football hooligans.
Yep.
He fights them off.
He doesn't
punching
just fight
some
them
in the face and getting them, right in the nuts, and then punching them again for good measure and throwing them up against the fence.
Throwing them into the fence.
It was an awesome display.
Yeah.
And naturally, they're completely not only injured but taken aback by this because they're just trying to help this guy.
Mm.
Yeah. And so
it's not a good look.
No, it's not a good look.
So he heads on home after this, and he's absolutely ranting about having been attacked again, and starts on about the market incident as well.
Oh, that's right. He tells her the tale of the jacket.
Yeah, but before he can finish, Margaret interrupts him to tell him that the police have found his jacket. It's good news. And it's still even got his checkbook inside, which leaves him speechless.
Yeah.
Because he's realising that he's just carried out an armed robbery in broad daylight.
Oh, my goodness. Yep. Totally. Then, I mean, that's... Whether he meant to or not's completely irrelevant. He actually did do it.
I should say that at the start of this scene, Margaret's commenting how she can't smell the smell anymore around the sideboard.
Oh, yeah.
And then we finish in the very last scene with Victor saying, "What's that smell?"
Yeah. So now that it's gone, he can smell it.
No one else can smell it. He can.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where we leave it.
Dear, oh dear. Well, look, I know you're about to show us the wonderment of that episode and why it should go into the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
But I honestly did expect that to go a lot worse than it did. And it didn't exactly go smoothly for any of the people involved. But, oh, man.
So we've already established that the old lady could have died in the attic.
Yep.
What else could have gone wrong? Could have been a real hand grenade.
Well, the hand grenade could have blown up all the bowlers for a start. Yeah.
Oh, so I forgot to mention that when he throws it over the fence, it goes onto the bowling green
Yeah.
which is adjacent and packed with oldies.
Oh, yeah. And there's several other things in the episode that I haven't watched the ones before and after, right? So you don't know if things that happen in this episode are laying groundwork for stuff that's going to happen in other episodes. But let's assume not, right? Let's assume it's reset at the beginning of every episode. Anyhow, but I thought that the poor old plumber who got his leg burnt quite badly checking out their heater might have gone down and taken some of Victor's stuff that he's just been reading all about the horrible side effects about and sort of put that on his leg to soothe his injury.
Yes.
And making it 10 times worse. And then they'd have to go back to the hospital and they go, oh, God, it's Mr. Meldrew with this bloke. And what has he done to you? So there's all these things they're laying down that they didn't pick up on.
Yep.
And I was just dreading some of these things happening. And I've written here, the longer the episode goes on, the more dread I feel.
Were you feeling stressed?
We got off pretty lightly. Mildly.
Mildly stressed.
Yeah. Perhaps not British stressed, but certainly...
Faulty Towers stressed?
No, not Faulty Towers stressed. Yeah. So what a roller coaster ride.
It is. So let me start. It's a very polished plot. I felt like this one must have taken quite a while to put together. There's so much detail in there and the timing is just perfect, the way things happen. So we've got these two main threads. We've got what I've called crime wave.
Okay.
And the pipes, and then the two intersect with the kidnapping of the Institute lady in the loft.
Yep.
Because the clanging of the pipes bring the people up there. They cover the noise that she's making.
Yep.
Up in the loft. So that explains that brilliantly. And also, we established the fact that this is one of Victor's many crimes that he commits in this episode. So it does become apparent that Victor is the one who's causing most of the trouble or the crime in the vicinity.
Inadvertently.
Well, it's quite the irony that he's the one who's proposing to start the neighbourhood watch group.
Yeah.
Maybe he should just...
Kidnapping people, murdering cats, beating up young people, and throwing hand grenades.
And we haven't even covered the armed robbery.
Stealing them. Oh, my God.
He's doing it all.
Yep, okay, point taken.
He's public enemy number one, dude.
Oh.
The next thing I wanted to talk about was the ambiguity. You've got the sideboard smell, which is never resolved or explained.
No, I was waiting for that.
Oh, for it to be resolved?
Yeah, I thought it might have been a nifty thing where whatever's in the sideboard attracted the neighbourhood stray cat.
Well, I think you do go to the cat connection and maybe assume that some other animals
got
been
trapped in
inside the sideboard or something like that. But
I like it.
No, they never solve that one.
Well, they're juggling enough plot balls as it is without having wrap that one up as well.
Why can everyone else smell it? Then they can't, but Victor can.
Yeah.
Well, it's a mystery.
Yeah.
And then also, so this is my assumption, based on everything else that's happened in this episode, that Victor somehow caused the mugging on the hill in the first place. I'm thinking maybe there was a couple, maybe the youngsters were a couple or something like that.
Right.
Having a snog in the grass, and he whips out his camera and appears to be taking photos of them or something like that. And the next thing you know, there's an altercation and he riles them up and gets biffed over the head, or he seems to change his tune or change his story about it a little bit. So so it could have been another whole episode happened off screen. An episode's worth of misunderstandings and calamity. Do you like that theory? I like that theory. It's a good theory. So I like the fact that that's all left up to our imagination. David Renwick, we've already said he wrote Jonathan Creek, so he likes a mystery. Oh, yeah.
So when you were researching, what else has David Renwick done?
Well, these were the only two that I'd...
Oh, okay.
Yes. He had done quite a bit of other stuff, and I think he had a partner who co-wrote some stuff with him as well. But these are the main two things.
Yeah. Right, that's ringing a bell.
Just a couple of little things. There's these really nice musical touches when he's stealing the jacket. Like musical cues. So he sees the jacket that looks just like him, and there's a musical
sting
cue or sting.
Right.
That tells you, he's just realised that it's his jacket.
And it's about to kick off.
Yep. And then when it kicks off, there's music behind that and everything. So that's really good. I like the way the phone calls are used to explain the backstory to comic effect.
Yep.
And to just incense Victor. I like the way...
And sorry, just to clarify, and this is whenever Margaret's mum rings up and Margaret has to explain all the calamities to her mum. And,
It's a daily update.
Yeah, is that a really handy expositional tool, or is it lazy as hell? I suppose when you're so time constrained, it does the job. I don't know. I'm not a writing snob or anything.
Well, they could have written it that they were just chatting about what happened up the hill when they walked in the door. But instead, they do it through the phone call to Mum.
All right.
And I think, I like the way that, because Margaret's talking about him
while
he's there and he doesn't get the chance to put his side of the
No, and you get all his
story
reactions.
across. It just winds him up, makes him even more crazy.
Oh, very good.
I like the way that Victor is visible in the kitchen through this narrow opening.
Yeah.
When he's discovering the cat. So the camera is in the... stays in the lounge room.
Yeah, with Margaret.
With Margaret on the couch, but you can see him way behind. So that's pretty cool.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, good directional choice.
Back onto the plot.
Right.
There's loads of detail here and everything's carefully seated up front. So, I mean, you probably noticed this, but a couple of examples. You hear the noise of the clanking pipes several times before the lady is trapped upstairs in the loft.
Yep.
And another one is Margaret leaving the doors open is established well before the kidnapping again, so that...
Yeah. So it's not a surprise and not unnatural.
Yeah, so you understand why Victor just jumps to these conclusions.
Mm.
Then we've got the seeding of things that are going to happen up front, but then also there's these callbacks, and most notably is the couple of frozen cat gags that we get, which are just genius.
Yes.
Yes, there's a bit of nuance as well.
I'm just shaking my head because this is very much a cat household.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I appreciate the comedy.
There'll be no cat freezing around here.
No,
Thank you very
no
much.
cat freezing around here.
Yes.
Our freezer's up the top of the fridge rather than down the bottom in Victor's house. It's very easy for a cat to wander into his freezer.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if someone leaves the door open. So I was going to say about nuance. One I particularly like is the way the Institute lady, as she's making her way through the lounge room, stops.
Right.
Remarks on the smell.
Yeah.
Saying, she's right. It is stronger near the side. Now, that is not part of the conversation which Margaret has had with her.
No.
So Mrs. Warboys, he took the time to write in this thing, which tells you that Mrs. Warboys has been basically blabbing it around the village.
I see. Oh, I just thought
the Meldrews have got this smell in their sideboard, and she can smell it and he can't because he sniffed a wasp last year.
Don't ruin that gag. I like your explanation better because I just thought that, poor old Margaret's got nothing else to talk about with her friends except for the smell by the sideboard.
No. And then he goes a
Which
step
is an
further.
odd topic. Right?
Like the hand grenade goes over the fence, lands on the bowling green.
Yeah.
And one of the guys walks over and goes, "Oh, it's Mrs. Warboy's hand grenade."
Really? I missed that.
Oh, goodness.
That's gold. Ah, you ripper. There must be a small village. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
they all know each other's
business. It's either a small village or she just gets around
showing everyone a hand grenade. Oh, have a look at this. Yeah.
It loses a bit of its effect if you start
flashing
telling
around
everyone
the
about
joint.
the hand grenade.
True. They won't take you seriously.
That's our top tip for this episode, listeners.
Don't tell people about your hand grenade.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's good, solid advice.
Yes.
What else have you got left after all of that?
I've got plenty.
I hope you're not going through the whole lot.
I've got plenty left.
Okay.
Also, the way he wrote it, for this sideboard smell gag or whatever you want to intrigue, let's call it, for that to work, he had to have all these other people come through the house.
Yes.
So I don't know what came first, whether he had all the people coming into the house and he thought, oh, I'll write this thing, or whether it was the other way around. But anyway, it was pretty genius.
Oh.
Then before I get to gags, I was just going to talk about the characters.
Yeah.
Victor's obviously a great character. Is he in the Tom Chance and Basil Fawlty category because trouble follows him around?
Yes. I think he falls more into the Basil category because Tom could do everything right and trouble's going to find him, whereas Basil causes all his trouble and Victor, to a lesser extent, I think, causes all his trouble.
Yeah, I think he is similar to Basil in that something that anyone would be annoyed by happens, but then it sends him in such a spin that things get worse and worse and worse because of the way he reacts to it.
And it's always about prevention. So when Basil and Victor are trying to prevent something bad happening, the lengths they'll go to prevent it are more harmful than the original thing that's going to happen.
But he's got the best of intentions because he takes off with the hand grenade.
Yeah, to try and save everybody.
To try and save everyone, like Steve Rogers. And it's not like Steve jumping on the hand grenade.
Yeah.
And
or Steve Irwin.
Or Steve Irwin. I don't think
That's
Steve Irwin ever jumped on the hand grenade. Yeah, but he would have done. If he was given the chance, he would have done.
Sorry, yes.
Because he's a beaut Aussie.
Yeah,
he was a beaut Aussie. What's the other example I was thinking of? Oh, organising the neighbourhood watch. Best of intentions.
Yeah. He's taking these preventative measures that result in disaster.
Yes. So,
well, that's a whole, that's one for the crew of The Good Place.
Oh, The Good Place.
They can ponder the philosophy of that. Is it the philosophy of, outcomes or intentions? And
how many points is he getting for that?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yes, so aggravation and stress get the better of him, and his rash decisions and outbursts cause problems. Margaret's also a great character.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's really balanced because she loves him and endures him, but also gets driven a bit batty by him.
Yeah.
But she can put him back in his place as well.
Absolutely. She does get very exasperated, but he knows when to shut up, especially when he got that look during the meeting of the neighbourhood watch group.
Yep. And she's clever.
Right.
She's the one that susses out what's happening half the time.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, good. Yeah. You'd have to. Your survival would depend on it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
survival instincts.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I've got before we talk about gags. Did you have anything else on related subjects?
No. I'll bring them up as we go along, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, launch into one of your gags, and I'll tick them off my list as we go.
Okay. Well, the first one of my gags is Victor and Margaret discussing Mrs. Burkett's disappearance on the phone while she's banging away from the loft.
Yeah.
Like,
rapping on the pipe.
Where could she be? I wonder where she is. Bang, 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 bang.
It's a mystery, all right.
Yep. I guess it's a similar kind of thing when he's shouting at the pipes, "Shut up!
Yeah.
Shut the hell up! Blah, 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 blah."
And
he's really shouting at...
Yeah.
How would she feel?
The poor woman trapped up there in the dark because the plumber turned the light off up there.
Yep. And all she can hear is Victor shouting back.
Yep.
Abuse.
Shut up. Yeah. No food, no water, nowhere to go to the toilet.
Yep.
Poor old lady.
Yeah.
Oh. So you thought that was funny, did you, Steve?
Well.
Yeah. Oh, I bet
you did. Yes, I did.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, the ones I've written down are in order.
Right.
Because I was furiously taking notes and they're all over the place. But you mentioned earlier about the smelling, and then Margaret's talking to Mrs. Warboys or whoever, and she goes,
"Yep,
not since that accident in his left nostril last summer." That line alone is great.
Yep,
because
an accident in your nostril.
Yeah, but they've named the nostril. It's the left one.
Yep,
which is beautiful attention to detail.
Yes.
And last summer, as if there's been just one of the million incidents he had, and then
he's probably got a catalogue of nostril incidents.
I reckon. Mrs. Warboy says, "Yes, Mr. Meldrew, you really shouldn't try to sniff a live wasp." Then that sets him off.
Yeah, this is just before he tells her to get out of it.
Yeah. What was he doing? Trying to sniff a hydrangea or something, and the wasp was there and
hiding.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're going to bring up some other examples of where you'll get a line, and then just when you're recovering from that line, the comeback is there, and that's equally hilarious. And then you get the comeback to the comeback, and oh, man.
Well, I've got another one featuring Mrs. Warboys.
Oh, yeah,
this is while they're outside hanging up the washing and he's up the ladder.
Cleaning off the graffiti.
Yep. Margaret says, because they're discussing his underwear, Margaret says he could wear out a suit of armour.
Yeah. That was a great line.
I thought so.
Yeah, and then Victor's reactions to that are very good as well. But we won't go into those. Oh, dear. Yes, the warning label on the medication is classic. All these very different side effects you can get, can cause your skin to go red and flake off.
Yep.
And that's just one. I mean, there's all these other ones that are just wildly different side effects.
I don't think they had to invent any of those.
You reckon it's all completely legit? Yeah, I think each one of those side effects might be the side effect of a different drug, but all for the one product. My word.
Yeah, well,
It's doing more damage than whatever you're trying to cure.
it's covering all your bases.
Yeah, that's true.
You put everything on there,
Yep.
and then
You don't get sued.
You can't get sued.
Yeah, fair enough. But just the way he's reading them out. And this goes back to, because when Victor's reading out all these side effects, in your mind, you can imagine him having to deal with each of these. And this is what this show and a lot of other shows do really, really well, which is talk to you about these incidents, i.e. the wasp up the left nostril last summer, which then forces you to imagine this happening to him. And they don't have to put it on screen. And in your imagination, it's just this bloody hilarious thing.
Yep.
And they keep doing this all the time.
That was one of his other trips to the hospital.
Yeah. So they do that a lot. And I think talking about incidents makes you imagine it, and it's funnier in your imagination.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, so they do really well with that. Yes. What else have you got in the gag department there?
Well, now I'm on to frozen cat gags.
Yeah. Yep.
There's just this amazing run of
Absolutely.
lines.
Yeah. Undoubtedly.
Have you got them written down? Do you wanna
I
take
think
turns?
what we'll do, or what we'll already have done, is put that in as the central clip before we launch into the synopsis.
Oh, that saved me a lot of work. We
That's
don't
a
even
lot
need
of
to say it.
economy. Oh, yes.
What,
So-
do you have a favourite?
Do I have a favourite? Well, there's so many, but it's the beginning one is when Margaret says, "You're not going to take that out, are you?" He goes, "Well, I'm not going to bloody leave it in there with its eyes lighting up at you every time you open the door."
Surely.
And then,
Surely not.
And then from there, there's just line after line after line. It's really good. Well,
classic.
which was your favourite in that bit?
Probably the one where she says, how long has it been in there? And he says, "Oh, I don't know. I'll just look for its sell-by date."
Oh, that's just the crowning one on the top, because I think that came right at the end, didn't it?
No, the last one is about...
Are you sure it's dead?
It's just about we don't have a chest freezer.
Yeah. Oh,
I could be
man.
standing here looking at a frozen mammoth.
Like on the whole strength of that whole section alone is like, some sitcoms never get to those sorts of heights of hilarity, I don't think.
Yes.
Oh, man, it's really good. And another one of mine was do you want me to do a daily inspection for bat-heeled women and mummified tomcats?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we had
That was
mentioned
classic.
that.
One of the guys who's over for the neighbourhood watch, when Victor whips out his pistol,
Yeah.
his faux pistol, the guy claps an eye on it and says, "Oh, that's a starting pistol, isn't it?" And Victor's saying, "Yes, it's a starting pistol." And the guy says it's in case he gets attacked in an alley by Linford Christie.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yes. Should we put some
who's
context in there? Yeah, Linford Christie.
Yesteryear's equivalent of
Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usain Bolt.
Oh, yeah, Linford Christie. I remember back in the early days of video games when you got the Olympic type of video games, which you'd have to tap on the keyboard quite a lot and waggle your joystick. You could be Linford Christie doing all that sort of stuff. Great athlete.
It's a funny gag, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's very funny, but what's he actually trying to say? That he would fire the pistol and then Victor would run?
No, he'd fire the
Sprint off?
pistol and the person assailing him, i.e. Linford Christie, would, like a punch drug boxer hearing a bell, just hear the starting pistol and run off.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gags are never very good when you try and deconstruct them. Oh,
Should have left that
that's one of the great
alone.
problems with this show. Oh, dear, oh dear.
Have you got any more?
When the neighbourhood watch group are gathered there, and then it's, oh yeah, you can smell it by the sideboard, and then, oh, well, you can't smell it by the window, and so they're all, 3 or 4 of them are dashing around the room trying to smell it at different points, and Victor's desperately trying to take control of this meeting just so they can bloody well get on with it.
Yep.
I've called it the smelling tournament, and they're just smelling all over the place. But you think that's good, but then later on at the end of the episode, Margaret's on the phone to her mum again, saying, oh, you wouldn't believe it, the smell's disappeared and all that. And she goes, no, what? No, Mum, you can't. And then she has to waft the phone over the whole region so her mum can smell the sideboard through the phone.
Yeah.
And that,
So is her mum just losing it?
I don't know. Oh, that
It's
was
funny.
good. No, yeah,
They
that
might
was...
deconstruct it.
No, it's an
just
absolute
funny.
cracker. Oh, yeah, and Margaret, did you put a cat in our freezer? Out of nowhere, which is just, you're reeling from everything else, and then they introduce that. Oh, man. Yes, there's a lot of moaning and conflict in One Foot in the Grave. So if you don't stick through the first 10 minutes because you think, wow, this is a real bring down, then you're going to miss out on all the brilliance later on.
You've got to persevere.
Yeah, you do.
Push through the pain barrier.
Yeah, you have to be in the right frame of mind, I think. Because if you have had a bad day, would it make you feel better to watch Victor having a worse day, or would you think, oh man?
No, it wouldn't make you feel better.
No, make him feel more tense?
Probably.
Oh.
You'd have to watch One Foot in the Grave, and then you'd have to watch Prisoner after that.
Yeah, exactly. And the other TV reference they threw in was Emmerdale Farm.
Yes, finish with that. That's probably... no, that's a soap, so is that...
Yeah, that might level you out a bit.
That might be a bit dramatic as well.
Oh, it could be. Like watching Home and Away, which these days doesn't represent everyday life in Australia. Every single episode is serial killers, people getting shot at weddings or whatever the hell goes on. I don't know. I haven't watched it in 30 years. Anyhow, yes, so one last thing I want to put in is they're tiny little parts of the show, but David Renwick does these character pieces. So you have the plumber and the way he comes in, just his phrases, and because he got hideously burnt, and he goes, I'm used to it, and he used that line about 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, and he keeps repeating how he's used to it.
Yeah.
Which someone wouldn't do if they were used to it.
No. And then he'll stop and say, but look at this, and then go back to it. Yeah, anyway, so that's just a little character portrait he does. And also, again, with the salesman, that was a really good scene. And Victor's picking out all this hideous clothing, and the salesman will say, yeah, look, that's very good, it fits you perfectly, and blah, blah, blah. But which we talked about before. But yeah, David Renwick's just doing these little character pieces and very economically using speech patterns and various other things to...
weaving it all into the
fabric
of the episode.
Yeah, I wonder if they're based on real plumbers and salesmen he's encountered.
Could be.
Yeah, but that's another little bonus, I think, those little things there. All right. Are you, before you put the question and I answer it, are you going to bring up disaster comms in general? Is that on the list? No,
I wasn't going to do that.
All right, cool.
Feel free to.
Well, are we officially classifying One Foot in the Grave as a disaster comm?
Well, no, not this episode.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. In general, I would. I'm angling for it.
I can't think of... When I think of a disaster comm, I think of, Frank Spencer and the ceiling crashing in, or the car hanging off the cliff, or I don't know what happens at British.
Oh, well, look, Empire. He burnt the whole... At one stage, he burnt a whole leisure centre down.
Yeah, so this is the kind of thing I'm thinking of. And then there was the one where
dozens of people got killed.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I'm thinking of some real calamity.
Encasement
structural damage to buildings. And
right,
sort of
so it's got to be measured in a certain amount of insurance claim sort of things. And death toll. Okay, so to define something as a disaster comm, there has to be either A, body count, or B, extensive damage to property. Yeah.
Yes, and I think throughout the episode, often the intensity of these events increases. So it gets worse and worse and worse.
Fair enough.
And then it just climaxes in something really, really terrible happening.
So One Foot in the Grave came after Chance in a Million. All brilliant stuff.
Right. So, I think it's brilliant. It's got a great plot. It's very densely and finely written, with full of details. Well acted, with great characters. And
extremely well regarded.
Yes, extremely well regarded. It's in the top tier.
Yeah.
I think I chose a good one.
All right.
What say you?
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Oh, good.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't watched an episode in, well over a decade.
Yes.
But, God, it was funny.
Yep.
I laughed out loud on several occasions.
Good.
Yeah. Where's all the conflict, Steve? We need more conflict. What's going on here? This is terrible.
Well, I'm not going to argue that you shouldn't like it so much.
No, fair enough.
Take another look, you bludger.
So what was the story here, Steve, with this DVD you mentioned to me, but then forgot to bring around and we had to watch it on YouTube? Well, was there a bargain involved?
No, I went to all the trouble of getting it out from the library.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Ah.
Thought nothing but the best for you. We'll watch it in crispy DVD definition instead of YouTube, and I promptly left it at home. So.
Well, that's all right.
That was a bit of a blow.
Oh, when you return it, I'm sure I can borrow it.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough too.
All right.
But I'd advise people that this is exactly the sort of thing that you can go down to your local op shop and get for $2, and you'd be mad not to.
Yeah, if you keep your eye out, you'll see it from time to time. All right, well, let's nick off. and see everyone in a fortnight or so for something of your choice.
Yes, we'll do that.
Yeah.
All right.
See
Cheers,
everyone.
Bye. Join us next time on Sitcom Showdown when we'll be putting another 5-star episode under the microscope. And in the meantime, you can contact us with feedback on Facebook, Twitter @Sitcom Showdown, or by email sitcomshowdown@gmail.com.